Deep in the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense station Artemis, Lieutenant Commander Maya Rodriguez stood frozen, her coffee forgotten in her hand. Before her, the holographic display showed something unprecedented, a transmission that defied everything humanity thought they knew about their place in the cosmos. The beings in the projection looked like living auroras, their bodies rippling with waves of bioluminescence. But even through the alien nature of their appearance, Maya could recognize terror. The sylphids, as they called themselves, were running out of safe havens. Please, the translation matrix converted their harmonic language patterns into English. We know you're out there. We've observed your world from afar. You're different. You're strong in ways we never could be. The Void Stalkers hunt us, harvest us for our energy essence. We're not warriors. We never needed to be, until now. Maya's training kicked in as she sent the transmission to Central Command. Within hours, the highest-ranking military and civilian leaders had gathered in the underground chambers of the Global Defense Council in Geneva. The room hummed with tension as the sylphid message played again. Admiral Helena Kane, a veteran of the resource wars, spoke first. Our long-range scans confirm their story. We've detected massive energy signatures consistent with their description of these void stalkers, and they're methodically moving through what we now know is sylphid space. Can we trust them? General Zhang asked, his cybernetic eye whirring as it analyzed the data streams. This could be an elaborate trap. Dr. Lakshmi Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist, stepped forward. The sylphids are exactly what they appear to be, a species that evolved in the stellar winds of their home system. They're energy manipulators of incredible sophistication, but they never developed physical defenses. They never had to, until now. The room fell silent as Council President Ada Vayo rose. We all know what Earth is, what we are. For centuries, we considered ourselves cursed. Our gravity too high, our weather too violent, our evolutionary path too harsh. We became what we had to become to survive. But maybe, he paused, looking at each person in the room, maybe we became strong so we could protect those who never had to. Maya found herself assigned as liaison to the first sylphid delegation that arrived on Artemis Station. Their ship was a marvel of energy engineering, but she could see how utterly vulnerable it would be to conventional weapons. The sylphid representative, a being who called itself Harmony in Light, interfaced with the station's systems to share tactical data. The Void Stalkers' attacks were methodical and ruthless. They moved like black holes through space, their ships somehow absorbing energy and light itself. Against the sylphids, who were essentially living energy, they were devastating predators. Your bodies, Harmony in Light observed, its patterns shifting to what Maya had learned to recognize as curiosity. They're so dense, so solid. Your world, what you call Earth, it would crush most spacefaring species. The Void Stalkers avoid such places. They consider high-gravity worlds too dangerous to approach. Maya smiled grimly. What they consider dangerous, we call home. And we've learned a few things about dealing with predators. The next day, as Maya presented her report to the Defense Council, the decision was already crystallizing. Humanity would intervene. Not because they had to, not because of treaties or obligations, but because they could. Because somehow, the harsh world that had forged them into Deathworlders had also given them the power to protect those who had evolved in gentler cradles. As the council session ended, Maya received word that the Void Stalkers had just annihilated another sylphid colony. But this time, their victory celebration was cut short. On the edge of their sensors, something new appeared. A fleet of ships from a world they dismissed as too primitive to matter, crewed by beings who had evolved under pressures they could barely imagine. Humanity was coming, and the hunters were about to learn what it meant to face creatures forged in the crucible of a death world. The UES Hyperion cut through space like a blade, leading Earth's newly assembled Guardian fleet. On the bridge, Admiral Sarah Chen watched as her crews made final preparations for humanity's first interstellar combat deployment. The ship's quantum displays showed their target, a Void Stalker assault force bearing down on one of the last major Sylphid sanctuaries. Their ships are twice our size, her XO, Commander Jackson, noted as he studied the tactical readouts. And those energy absorption fields are like nothing we've ever encountered. Size isn't everything, Chen replied, a slight smile crossing her face. Remember what the Sylphids told us about Void Stalker physiology. They evolved in low-gravity environments. Their ships are built the same way. All offense, minimal structural integrity. The Hyperion's bridge crew had spent weeks studying everything the Sylphids could tell them about their hunters. The Void Stalkers had never faced serious resistance before. They'd evolved as space-based predators, using their natural ability to absorb energy to feed on stellar radiation. When they discovered other energy-based life forms like the Sylphids, they'd turned from scavengers to hunters. All ships, battle stations, Chen ordered as the fleet dropped out of FTL. The scene before them was horrifying. Massive black ships surrounding a gleaming crystal structure that housed thousands of Sylphids. The structure's defensive fields were already failing. They're not even trying to hide their approach, Jackson said. They've never needed to before. Chen's voice was steel as she opened a channel to all Earth ships. Remember your training. Remember why we're here. Humanity stepped into the stars wondering if we were too aggressive, too physical, too much the product of our harsh world. Today we show the galaxy that strength without compassion isn't strength at all. The Guardian fleet struck like lightning. The Void Stalkers, expecting another easy harvest, found themselves facing ships that moved with impossible precision in gravity fields that should have crushed them. Human vessels, built to withstand the punishing forces of Earth's gravity well, shrugged off attacks that would have shattered most spacecraft. On the Hyperion's bridge, Chen watched as her crews implemented maneuvers that would have killed most alien species. High G turns, tactical accelerations that would reduce most life forms to paste. But for humans, it was just another day at the office. Ma'am, her tactical officer called out, the Void Stalkers are trying to use their energy absorption fields, but our kinetic weapons are passing right through. Chen nodded. The Void Stalkers had evolved to fight energy-based threats. They'd never faced an enemy that relied on physical ammunition and projectiles. Their defenses, so effective against the Sylphids' energy-based technology, were useless against humanity's more primitive, but devastatingly effective weaponry. The battle reached its climax as 3 Void Stalker capital ships surrounded the Hyperion. Chen watched calmly as the massive vessels tried to trap her ship in a triangular energy net. Now, she ordered. The Hyperion's engines flared as the ship executed a maneuver that would have torn most vessels apart. The high G turn brought all of its main batteries to bear on a single target. The Void Stalkers, unable to comprehend how any species could function under such gravitational stress, were caught completely off guard. Within hours, it was over. The Void Stalker fleet was in retreat, leaving behind their first major defeat in centuries. Inside the crystal structure, thousands of Sylphids pulsed with patterns of relief and amazement. As Chen supervised rescue operations, a message came through from Harmony and Light, now serving as the official Sylphid ambassador to Earth. We watched your ships move in ways we thought impossible. Your crews endured forces that would destroy most living things. How? Chen thought about the countless generations that had shaped humanity on their challenging homeworld. The gravity that built their dense bones and strong muscles. The varied environments that demanded adaptability. The predators that taught them to be both hunters and protectors. We evolved on a world that many would call hell, she replied. But it taught us something important. True strength isn't about destroying. It's about being strong enough to protect those who need it. As the Guardian fleet secured the sector, word of the battle spread quickly through the galaxy. Humanity had announced their presence on the cosmic stage, not through conquest or aggression, but by choosing to protect the defenseless. They were Deathworlders, yes, but Deathworlders who had learned to temper their strength with wisdom and compassion. The Void Stalkers were retreating to regroup, But Chen knew this was just the beginning. They would return, and when they did, they would find humanity ready. Earth's curse of evolving on a harsh world had become a blessing for those who needed protection. The age of the guardian Deathworlders had begun. Dr. Maya Rodriguez stood in the observation bay of New Dawn Station, watching the strange dance unfold before her. Sylphid energy forms flowed around human engineers as they worked together to strengthen the station's defenses. After the Guardian fleet's first victory, this frontier outpost had become a symbol of cooperation between humanity and their new allies. "Your species continues to surprise us," Harmony in Light pulsed beside her. "Your bodies should make space travel nearly impossible, yet you've adapted your technology to turn those limitations into strengths." Maya was about to respond when the station's alert system blared. The Void Stalkers had returned, but this time they weren't alone. Their fleet was 3 times larger than before, and their ships showed signs of rapid modification. "They're learning." Admiral Chen's voice came through the command channel. "They've reinforced their hulls, added kinetic barriers. They're adapting to fight us specifically." The Guardian fleet moved into defensive positions around New Dawn, but everyone knew this battle would be different. The first wave of Void Stalker ships struck with new tactics. Instead of trying to absorb energy, they launched physical projectiles of their own, clearly copied from studying human weapons. But there was something off about their attack pattern. "They're not moving like they did before," Maya noted, her scientific training kicking in. "Their formations are too rigid, too predictable. Almost like they're afraid," Chen finished. "All ships press the advantage. They've copied our weapons, but they can't copy our ability to withstand high-G maneuvers. Push them to their physical limits." The battle that followed would be studied in military academies for generations. Human ships executed combat maneuvers that sent them spinning through gravity wells that would crush most species. The Void Stalkers, despite their superior numbers, couldn't match their mobility. But in the midst of the chaos, Maya noticed something crucial. A group of smaller Void Stalker ships was holding back, moving differently from the others. She focused the station's sensors on them and gasped at the readings. "Admiral," she called urgently, "those ships in Sector 7, they're not trying to fight. They're collecting something. Energy readings suggest they're harvesting stellar radiation." "Confirmed," Chen replied. "But why collect energy in the middle of a battle unless—" She paused as understanding dawned. "They're not just fighting for territory. They're desperate for energy." The battle reached a turning point when a human destroyer, the UES Challenger, took a critical hit. As its crew evacuated, something unprecedented happened. A group of sylphids broke formation and rushed to help, using their energy manipulation abilities to stabilize the ship's failing systems while human rescue craft approached. The Void Stalkers froze, their attack faltering as they witnessed the cooperation between physical and energy-based beings. In that moment of hesitation, Chen ordered a precise strike at their command ship, not to destroy it, but to disable its primary systems. "This is Admiral Chen of the Guardian Fleet to Void Stalker Command," she broadcast on all frequencies. "We understand now. You're not just hunting for sport. Your species needs energy to survive, and you're running out of natural sources." The response came in harsh, guttural tones that the translators struggled to process. "What choice do we have? The stars grow dimmer. Our traditional feeding grounds are dying. The energy beings are our only hope for survival." Maya stepped forward, an idea forming. "Admiral, the sylphids aren't just energy beings. They're energy manipulators. And we have something no other species has. The ability to work in conditions that would kill most life forms. Like solar engineering," Chen caught on. "Building stellar collection arrays in high-gravity zones that the Void Stalkers can't approach." The battle around New Dawn didn't end with a decisive victory or crushing defeat. Instead, it ended with something far rarer, the first step toward understanding. As human ships corralled the remaining Void Stalker fleet, Maya began drafting proposals for a cooperative endeavor that would combine human resilience, sylphid energy manipulation, and the Void Stalker's natural ability to store and transport stellar energy. Perhaps harmony in light observed as they watched the cleanup begin. This is why your species evolved as it did, not just to be strong enough to fight, but to be strong enough to bridge gaps that other species cannot cross. Maya watched as human rescue teams helped secure damaged ships from both sides, their enhanced physiology allowing them to work in conditions that would incapacitate most species. We spent so long thinking Earth made us too aggressive, too robust, too different, she said. But maybe being different is exactly what the galaxy needed. The massive solar engineering facility hung in space near a blue supergiant star, its structure a testament to three species working together. Captain Elena Torres watched from the command center as human engineers in reinforced suits worked alongside Void Stalker energy collectors, while sylphid energy manipulators directed the stellar flows through specially designed channels. Project Helios, they called it. The first-ever trilateral effort to solve the energy crisis that had driven the Void Stalkers to become hunters. But 6 months into construction, tensions remained high. The humans worked too slowly, growled Shadow Eater, the Void Stalker coordinator. Their crystalline form vibrated with barely contained frustration. Our people starve while they triple-check every connection. Those connections keep this whole station from collapsing into the star, Elena countered, her voice firm but measured. We're building in gravity conditions that would crush your ships. Our slowness is keeping everyone alive. A pulse of calming energy rippled through the command center as Song of Peace, the sylphid representative, intervened. Perhaps we could demonstrate why such caution is necessary. Shadow Eater, would you observe the next construction sequence personally? The observation module was designed to let the station's commanders experience the conditions their crews worked in. Delina activated the gravity simulators, carefully calibrated to demonstrate Earth normal conditions. Shadow Eater's crystalline form immediately began to creak under the pressure. This, Elena explained, shutting off the simulation after just a few seconds, is what humans consider normal. The construction zone experiences up to 3 times these forces due to the star's gravity well. Now do you understand why we check everything? The lesson proved timely. Within hours, the station's sensors detected a massive solar flare heading their way. In the past, such an event would have scattered ships from all 3 species. But today was different. All teams to emergency stations, Elena ordered. Void Stalker collectors to the forward arrays. You'll need to absorb the excess energy before it hits the main facility. Sylphid teams, prepare to redirect any energy the collectors can't handle. Human crews, structural integrity is your priority. The flare hit like a cosmic hammer, but the station held. Void Stalker ships positioned themselves like living shields, their natural energy-absorbing abilities protecting the more vulnerable sections. Sylphids danced through space, weaving excess energy into manageable streams. Human engineers worked through crushing gravitational forces to maintain the station's structural integrity. When it was over, Shadow Eater's crystalline form glowed with absorbed energy. This is more than my entire fleet collected in a month of hunting, and we did it without harming anyone. Elena nodded. That's what cooperation looks like. We're not just building a power station here. We're building a future where no species has to be either predator or prey. The success of Project Helios led to more changes. Void Stalker ships, once feared throughout the galaxy, began serving as energy transports, delivering collected stellar power to developing worlds. Sylphid energy manipulators found their abilities valued not just for survival, but for advancing technology across multiple species. And humans, the Deathworlders once worried about their place in the galaxy, discovered that their very adaptations made them ideal arbiters and facilitators. But challenges remained. Not all Void Stalkers accepted the new way. Some hunting fleets still prowled the outer systems. Some sylphids couldn't forgive past attacks. And some humans questioned why Earth should involve itself in alien conflicts at all. During one particularly tense council meeting, Alina found herself mediating between all three species as they debated expanding the project. "Your kind still doesn't trust us," a Void Stalker elder hissed at the Sylphid delegation. "Trust must be earned." Song of Peace pulsed back. "How many of our worlds burned while yours hungered?" Alina slammed her hand on the table, the sound shocking everyone into silence. The gravity in the room, normal for her, made the gesture especially impressive to the aliens. "Look at us," she said, "three species who should never have been able to work together. The Void Stalkers evolved to absorb energy, the Sylphids to generate it, and humans to endure conditions that would kill either of you. We're not together because it's easy. We're together because it's necessary." She gestured to the station schematics hovering above the table. "Every species here has something the others need. Void Stalkers understand energy absorption better than anyone. Sylphids can manipulate energy in ways we're still trying to comprehend. And humans, we can build and maintain the structures neither of you could survive long enough to create." The meeting ended with a renewed commitment to cooperation, but Alina knew their real challenges weren't technical. They were cultural. Teaching three radically different species to trust each other would take time. But as she watched teams from all three races working together on the station's outer hull, she felt hope. 5 years after the first Helios station's completion, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, Earth's first major diplomatic outpost in deep space. Below her, representatives from 20 different species gathered for the inaugural Galactic Cooperation Summit. The station's artificial gravity was set to 1/3 Earth normal, a compromise that allowed most species to function comfortably, while still letting humans maintain their natural advantage in emergencies. "It's remarkable how much has changed," Maya Rodriguez, now Earth's chief xenobiological advisor, said as she joined Chen at the window. 5 years ago, most species saw Deathworlders as a potential threat. Now they're requesting human advisors and engineers for their most challenging projects. The changes had indeed been profound. The success of Project Helios had led to a revolution in how species interacted. Void Stalker energy collection fleets, guided by Sylphid navigators and protected by human security teams, now supplied power to dozens of developing civilizations. The feared hunters had become respected energy merchants. "Ambassador Harmony in Light is ready to begin the session," an aide announced. The main chamber had been specially designed to accommodate all known spacefaring species, from energy beings to silicon-based life forms. At its center stood a holographic display showing the latest marvel of cross-species engineering, a network of solar collection stations spanning the galaxy. 5 years ago, Harmony in Light began, its energy form pulsing with diplomatic patterns. Our people faced extinction. The Void Stalkers hunted us, driven by their own desperate need for survival. We thought ourselves doomed until we discovered something unexpected, a species whose very limitations became their greatest strength. Shadow Eater, now the Lid Void Stalker representative, moved forward. Their crystalline form had been modified to better withstand higher gravity environments, a sign of their species' ongoing evolution. We thought ourselves superior because we could survive in space, could absorb the energy others could not. But the humans taught us that true strength lies not in what you can take, but in what you can build together. The holographic display shifted to show footage from various joint projects across the galaxy. Humans working in crushing gravity to build structures no other species could maintain. Void Stalkers using their energy absorption abilities to protect sensitive installations from solar storms. Sylphids weaving complex energy patterns to power new technologies. The term Deathworlder once inspired fear, Maya addressed the gathered representatives. But Earth's harsh conditions didn't just make us strong. They taught us adaptability, innovation, and most importantly, the value of protecting those who need it. Every challenge on our world forced us to find new solutions, to become problem solvers as well as survivors. The summit marked more than just diplomatic progress. New technologies born from the cooperation between species had begun to reshape the galaxy. Voidstalker energy absorption techniques combined with human engineering had made it possible to colonize systems once thought uninhabitable. Sylphid energy manipulation guided by human precision had revolutionized space travel. But perhaps the most significant change was cultural. Young Voidstalkers now trained alongside Sylphid energy masters and human engineers, learning to use their natural abilities for creation rather than consumption. Sylphid artists collaborated with human architects to design structures that were both beautiful and functional. Earth's universities had begun accepting students from across the galaxy, many specifically coming to study what they called Deathworlder innovation. As the summit concluded, Chen found herself in a private meeting with representatives from all three founding species. They were discussing the discovery of another potentially hostile species at the galaxy's edge. "They're like we once were," Shadow Eater observed, hunters believing they must destroy to survive. "Then we show them what we've learned," Chen replied. "That strength can protect as well as destroy. That limitations can inspire innovation. That differences can become advantages when species work together. Harmony in light, pulsed with agreement. The humans have shown us that being forged in harsh conditions doesn't condemn you to harshness. It can instead teach you to help others overcome their own challenges." The legacy of Earth's Deathworlders had become something none had expected. They were no longer seen as potential monsters, but as protectors, innovators, and bridges between species that would never otherwise have cooperated. Their very evolution on a world that most species considered hell had given them the strength to forge a better galaxy. As the station orbited slowly against the star-filled background, Chen reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity had stepped into the stars wondering if they were too aggressive, too physical, too much the products of their harsh world. Instead, they had become exactly what the galaxy needed: creatures strong enough to protect, tough enough to endure, and wise enough to know that true power lay not in domination, but in bringing together those who thought themselves enemies. The age of the Deathworlders had indeed begun, but not as anyone had expected. It was an age of protection, innovation, and cooperation, proof that even the harshest beginnings could lead to the most hopeful futures.